I'm about to go live on my radio show. So hopefully you can join me for Wednesdays with Willa. We're going to start in a few seconds, the little broadcast thing that
Your show
they'll
will
say.
be live in 5 seconds.
And here we go.
3, 2, 1. Log Talk Radio.
We got it.
Welcome to Lilydale Radio, featuring topics about spiritualism, mediumship, healing, spirituality, and the Lilydale Assembly, the world's largest center for the religion, philosophy, and science of spiritualism. This is Lilydale Radio.
Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday morning, so it must be Wednesdays with Willa. And this is my radio show. My name is Willa White. I'm a registered medium here in Lilydale, and this is my radio show. So welcome, everyone. And today I'm flying solo. A lot of times I have guests, but this week my children have off from school, and it's just a little easier if I don't have to clean up the house as much, especially after the Christmas time that we've just had. I hope you've been having a wonderful holiday season. I know the last time I flew solo, we talked about gratitude and that this is such a season of gratitude and the ways that we express gratitude. And now I like to be timely in my shows. And we're heading toward New Year's, so we're going to be focusing today on rebooting, the idea that 2018 is almost here and that we have a lot of opportunities for renewal and revitalization, and that it's a lot of fun to have these opportunities for reboot. And so with my radio show, I want to make sure I mention today is a especially wonderful day for you to call in. So the call-in number is 818-739-8818. Again, 818-739-8818. And I really hope that you call in and share with me what your year has been like. What has 2017 been like for you so far? Has it been a more difficult year? Has it been an easier year? If you could encapsulate or choose one or two words to sum up your year, what would it be? Or would you need a whole paragraph? So call in and let me know how your year has been and what you think you're carrying forward with you to 2018. And we're going to be talking about patterns of reaction, and we'll talk about spiritual natural law today, and ultimately the idea of preparing for and living an awesome life, because that's the title of today's show, preparing for and living an awesome life. And I want that for every one of you, that you live an awesome life, that you really start to live from that place of wonder. So there are two ways, for those of you who aren't familiar with my Wednesdays with Willa show, there are two ways that you can enjoy the show. You can like and share and follow my Facebook page, which is Willa White Medium, and you can also listen to it through the blogtalkradio.com site. You go blogtalkradio/Lilydale Radio, and you will find us and the different radio shows that Lilydale has. So those are two ways for you to listen. I always try to remember to mention that. And if you're wanting to find me, you can look at my website, which is willawhite.com. So just those out of the way. So when we're looking at the idea of getting ready for a new year, I like the opportunities we have. Time is not as we perceive it, but as a general rule in our culture, we look at it in a linear fashion. And so we have the idea of days, that there are 24 hours in a day, that there are 7 days in a week, that there are 52 weeks in a year, that there are 365 days in a year. I mean, this gets pounded into our heads, and how much time we have or we have not in the course of our busy lives. And so, you're probably getting inundated if you're a Facebook world person or even on TV, ways to change your life, how to get fit for the new year, and all of those promotional things that are going on at this time of year, and the setting up of resolutions and how to do that and how to do it right. And we're going to talk a bit about that and how that may or may not fit into your particular life, your spiritual life. So those will be some things that kind of, make you go, in your life, I hope. So you can keep me posted as far as your reactions to things, too. So when we're thinking of symbols of renewal, the favorite one, probably for me, is the phoenix, the idea of that we rise up from the ashes. So when there are particularly difficult times in our life, we have to kind of think, we've walked through the fire, and now it's time for us to be reborn and to really take on that idea. I think that's why the Jesus story in many ways is so powerful, the idea that we never die and that we are constantly being reborn to the presence of God, to the understanding of God, and that we have that as an opportunity in our lives. Then we also have when people are looking at the year. What's one that so at the end of the year it's an old man with a cane, and at the beginning of the year it's a baby with its handy dandy diaper on, and so those are symbols that people frequently use. So everybody's kind of getting ready for the baby symbol to come up. And then we have the sloughing off of the skin, like the snake. The idea of renewal that the snake represents. And then the butterfly. I mean, that's one that everybody, I think, on a yearly basis, at one time or other, you're thinking about a butterfly. And you're thinking about the idea of how we're cocooning, and then when we emerge from our cocoon, we're a beautiful butterfly. And that is something that we do get butterflies here in the Lily. We get dragonflies, and I really enjoy them. And I like how seasonally we do have the changes. So right now it's winter, and it is full-fledged winter. And let me just give you a weather report. It is deep. It must be, I don't know, at least 3 feet that we've received in a short amount of time. So we've had a bit of, this might get called the blizzard of 17. And certainly here in the Lily, we do get a lot of snow, and we do get a lot of cold, and it's the wind chill. Last night my husband came home and he said it's -10 wind chill. And so you kind of have to be hardy if you're going to visit or live here in the winter. So I like winter, though, because it's an opportunity to kind of slow down. The summertime, the Lilydale season, is so full of things to do. You're going to see very soon the Lilydale Assembly is going to be putting up the new workshops. It's going to be putting up the new, the summer schedule, so you can get excited about that. They're going to have it online at the lilydaleassembly.com website. So you're going to have a lot to look forward to. But I like hibernating. Whenever possible, that idea of solitude. And so then when spring comes along, we kind of emerge from our cocoons, and we're able to put effort and energy toward that season. So the cocoon idea is very much something that I'm familiar with. And I think that we have to have those symbols. They help us understand our lives. They are symbols that help us to get excited about rebirth again. And sometimes we're in a moment of, oh dear, I don't want to have to put one more step, one more change, one more thing that I need to do. But that's why it's important to surround yourself with people that understand spiritual symbols, that understand spiritual life, that understand that there are phases in a life, and that this too shall pass. And so hopefully you have someone like that in your life. If not, that's something that you can certainly ask God for and be part of that understanding that you have to be open. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on, how to say yes to things in your life. Because when I look back on this past year, it's been very interesting for me. Those of you who are familiar with me know I'm a very private person, and here I am doing a radio show, being vulnerable and putting myself out there, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. That's one of the reasons I like doing it thus far. It's been 4 months. 4 months I've been doing radio shows now, and I really love it. I hope you guys love it too, and that you enjoy what I'm bringing to the table. But it's something that this year especially I've had to overcome that shyness, overcome that vulnerable side, and just be out in the limelight more than I'm used to. And life has been like that for me. I get approached by people to do things, and a lot of times I say no. And it's something that I don't want to say I'm a no person, but I sort of sit with it in my soul, and I say, does that feel right for me? Is this in my highest and best good? Yes or no? Is this in the highest and best good of others? Yes or no? And I really pay attention to that. When I have to make decisions, those are some of the most important questions I ask myself. So a lot of times I tell clients about that, and it changes their perspective, because they've been so wrapped up in listening to their head or listening to their heart, and their head and the heart are at war. And what do we do now? You listen to your soul, because your soul is a spark of the divine, and as such it has unlimited potential for love and peace and joy. And so with the help of people, and you know who you are because you're listening, you are helping me come into a new phase of myself. So I appreciate that very much. So for me, it's kind of getting over the hurdles of things. I like public speaking. It's something that I enjoy doing. The lectures I do for church, the teaching that I do. But putting myself out on the radio show, I was a little nervous. But I have to tell you, it's been a wonderful year for me to do this, and I really appreciate it. So, as far as reporting to you about my year, 2017, that's been a big change for me. I'm really happy in my life. As you can tell, if you've been watching me and watching my show and know me, I'm a happy person. As a rule, I tend to look at the more positive things, although I can, just like anyone, start to let my imagination run wild. but I'm very blessed with my husband, with my family, with Lilydale, with my work. I love all of those so much, and I am consistently grateful about those things. And so now I'm in this new phase of kind of metamorphosizing. And so I don't know if you can see what I'm wearing. I am wearing a sweater that my mother knit for me, probably over 20 years ago. So a long time ago. And it has held up well. It is real wool. And it's Icelandic sweater design, as you can probably see. And it's been a comfortable sweater, and I wear this in the wintertime, and I love it. And it does have a few moth holes, I will admit to you. And there's something comfortable about the sweater for me. And I wanted to wear it today because it's representative of things that we got comfortable with in our life. The idea of the shoes that we wear and how comfortable they feel when they're broken in. And when we start thinking of having to break in a new pair of shoes, you're thinking, oh gosh, no, please. That's been a problem for me in my life. If I find a pair of shoes I like, I get a bunch of them, because I know that instead of leaving well enough alone, people are going to change the shoe designs. You probably have the same issue yourself. But anyway, so this sweater, there's something very comfortable about it. Because it's wool, though, it's itchy. And sometimes we kind of outgrow things. And it's like the concept of the hermit crab. There's the hermit crab, and it's growing in that shell. And then it knows it needs to leave its shell in order to find a new shell that's going to fit it better. So, because it's not just like a fish that grows to the size of the fish tank. With a hermit crab, if they don't get out of the shell, they're going to die in the shell any day now. So sometimes we have to be the hermit crab and let that go. And I'm not saying I'm going to let that sweater go, but just symbolically, the idea of shedding the skin and shedding the hermit crab and kind of moving ourselves into that. We have to have that ability to move ourselves out of our comfort zones and into a place of power. Hi guys, who are just joining me. Those of you who are just joining me, this is Wednesdays with Willa, my radio show, and I'm flying solo today, and I really hope that you call in and tell me what your year has been like. We're talking about the concept of ending 2017, moving into 2018, and what do we need to slough off to really have an amazing, successful, bountiful 2018. So you can call in. You can call me at 818-739-8818 and join in the conversation with me this morning. And you can say to me, this is what my 2017 year has been like, even if you just want to sum it up in one word or a whole paragraph, whatever you need on that. But call in, tell me what the year has been like and what it is that you're wanting to propel yourself into for 2018. I'm curious. I want to know. Like, legitimately, I want to know what this year's been like for you and what you want to move ahead for 2018. And we can even talk about how to do that in a successful way using spiritual natural law. Because I love spiritual natural law. I think it's important for people to know how to utilize it in their lives. And Florence Shin is my absolute favorite. So I know I talked about this a month ago, but Florence Shin, Florence Scovel Shin, she's a New Thought writer. She wrote this book probably 1929, so she's passed on now. But she was an amazing woman who knew how to really make amazing affirmations, how to be aware that your word is your wand, and she wrote The Game of Life and how to play it. And I have a compilation of 4 books, and it's in paperback form. I wish I'd gotten the hard copy because this is like a reference book for me. You can see post-it notes. You can see that I've written things in the margins, underlined things, because she'll talk about things. And one of the things she talks about is the law of preparation, the law of expectancy. And so these are spiritual natural laws that don't get a lot of airtime because most of you have probably heard of the law of attraction. And that is, it states that you will attract to you that which you're in harmony with. And I know I had my father on in one of the first shows back in September. We talked about the law of resonance. So if you want to know more about the law of resonance, that is what the law that helps the law of attraction to work. So if you want to go back in the archive shows and listen to that one, I think it's worth your while. But when it comes to the game of life, Florence Shin talks about how the game of life is a game of solitaire. Isn't that interesting? A game of solitaire. I'm sure you all have like solitaire on your phones, your computers, and maybe you're diehard solitaire fans. Who knows? But as you change, all conditions will change. As you change, all conditions will change. And so it's about finding those patterns of reactions, the ones that are healthy and keeping those, and the ones that are unhealthy patterns and getting rid of them. And so as I was explaining, this year, 2017, has been about me not being afraid of of being filmed. And boy, I guess I'm getting over that. But it's something that I guess was an unhealthy pattern for me to try to be in avoidance about, and now I've come into the limelight, folks. So she also talks about finding that which is your oppressor. And this is not about a person being the oppressor of you. This is about an energy that you feel has been oppressing you. So you find the kingpin, and I don't know how familiar you all are about with logging camps, but logging camps, when they're logging, they're timbering an area, the logs are then sent down the river, and they're in great numbers. And so you got all these logs, and they're, sometimes the logs become crossed, and they can cause a log jam. And the men are looking for the log jams, the log that really is the one that's causing the jam. And they call that log the kingpin. And what they do then is they find that kingpin log, they straighten it, and then the logs rush down the river again. And I was all set to show you a picture of a log jam from Scuffy the Tugboat, which is one of my children's books, but I can't find it anywhere. It's been very well loved and it's tattered. But it has a wonderful picture of little Scuffy the Tugboat trying to get through a log jam. I was gonna show that to you guys. So you'll have to envision this in your mind. And maybe your kingpin is resentment. And resentment is holding you back from your good. Or maybe your kingpin is, in my case, anxiety about being filmed and being at the mercy of other people in that way. And I'm overcoming that. The world is my friend. All of you are my friends. And I know that you want the best for me. And that's how you know that you have true friends, is that they are happy for you when you're happy, and that they want the best for you. So for me, I've been straightening out that kingpin log, and you may have more than one kingpin. So you have to figure out what is your kingpin, and because you have all these logs that are wanting to flow down the river, and those are representative of your success, your happiness, your abundance, and they will go rushing down the river, because one of the rules when it comes to energy is that you got to keep it flowing. If there's stagnation in any way, it's going to show up in your body, it's going to show up in your mind, and it's going to affect things. So from a spiritual vantage point, you want to straighten up that kingpin log in your life, and you really want to move and allow things to flow. It's just like when we were talking about last week with A Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge, and he's holding on to his money, and he's in a miserly condition. Maybe it's not money that you're having that with, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's about love that you're withholding in some way, forgiveness, and how to move yourself into a space of grace. So this is the basis of things. You need to find out what your kingpin is. So that's homework for you, so that you're not carrying that forward into 2018. You want to be able to be free of that and really come into your power. The more people that come into their power, that are in a space of empowerment, the better. It's a mass consciousness that starts to raise up within us and then spreads to other people. And so I'm excited about what 2018 could bring for you, because you have the potential of not just changing your life, but changing other people. And going back to what Florence Shin was saying, how your life is a game of solitaire. And so it matters what energy you're bringing to a situation. Because as you change, the conditions will change. And I've seen that happen time and time again in my life. And Florence Shin has a bazillion and one examples in her book. So I can't recommend it enough. And so I want to talk about the law of preparation. So I'm sure you've probably talked about, at least heard this, that if you prepare for what you fear or don't want, then you begin to attract that. Excuse me. So that is something that, as spiritualists, we talk about, that you create your own happiness or your own unhappiness as you obey or disobey spiritual natural law, God's law that has been put before us. And so you want to begin to attract that which is of the good. So that's why it's important to bring your mind back to that which is in your highest and best good. So I often am recommending that people have spiritual food. And what do I mean by that? I mean like reading books, like the game of life and how to play it. Find a book that you pick this up, you read just a snippet of it, and you feel that you are in your power again. That because prayer force is life force, and it helps sustain us through all kinds of things. And so I suggest strongly that you embrace that idea of the law of preparation. What are you preparing for? And I like the Bible from a symbolic standpoint, especially because I have that literature background. So if you look at the Bible as literature, they have wonderful symbols. Like they're in the middle of the desert, and there is no water. And of course, what happens if you don't drink water? So they get the intuition to start digging ditches. And you're thinking, why are you digging ditches? It doesn't make any sense. Why are you digging a ditch in the desert? And all of a sudden, after they finish digging the ditches, what happens? It rains. And the ditches fill with water. And so you have to be aware that as you're wanting to shift things in your life, you have to prepare for them. The idea of preparing for your good. And so you have to expect good. And so you need to call upon the idea of that your supply is coming from God. And I remember one lecture I did for Church of Living Spirit, it must have been a few years ago, about George Mueller. And George Mueller was a fantastic man. I highly recommend you look up about his life. He was a man of God, and he did a lot of ministering to other people, and he opened up a lot of orphanages, and he relied wholly on God, and he would pray for something, and it would happen. And he kept an amazing record of what he prayed for, and then he would then have the record of when it came to pass. And he had absolute faith in God. He was on a ship one time. Back then they didn't have all these motorized things we do. He's on a ship. The fog is surrounding the boat. He has to get somewhere. He's on this trip. He has to get somewhere. What does he do? He prays to God. And the fog lifts, and the captain is just amazed. He becomes a believer because this man had such a direct line to God. And we all have a direct line to God if we allow that. That we have to know that our supply comes from God, and it pours in and it piles up under grace. And that's an important part of preparation. And we have to examine our consciousness and see what you are preparing for. Are you preparing to have a fantastic 2018? Is that what you're really preparing for? You have to ask yourself those deeper questions, because when you ask yourself a question and you get a fear response back, that's not your soul. Because your soul is not afraid of things. I mean, yes, you have your idea of flight. You've got to be cautious about some things, right? That's ingrained in us, and that's a good thing that we have. But if you're listening to fear, you're not listening to your soul. Your soul is that soft, quiet voice inside of you that says, what are you really afraid of? That helps you to go deeper into the understanding of something. And so that's something that you can hold on to. Because when you're fearful of lack, and, Florence Shin will frequently use the concept of money, because money is an energetic currency. But it represents so many things in our lives. What are we holding on to? Love or energetic things. If we hang on to things, we're attracting lack. And so you need to make the statement, my supply comes from God. I have the magic purse of the Spirit. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, immediately money comes in, and it's always crammed, jammed with abundance, under grace, in perfect ways. And so those are some suggestions that I've gleaned from Florence Shin. She's an amazing woman. And so let's say that you're wanting to have the love of dear, sweet friends that are truly supportive of you, that are going to maybe push you and not just let you settle into your cement of things. You want a friend that's going to help you to see things from a spiritual vantage point. It might challenge who you think you are. So you're going to have a variety of friendships out there. And perhaps it's time for you to ask for those people that are going to help you on your journey for your highest and best good. And so we have to change our expectancies, and we change our conditions. So if you can change your expectancies, you have to do that because we do have these formations of habits. And I've talked to people about this when it comes to change in your life. Why do people stay in a negative circumstance? Anybody tell me why? Why does someone stay in a negative circumstance? Let's say it's really awful, they're beaten or whatever it is, a negative circumstance. It's because they know what to expect. They know how to react on some level. And they are scared that the grass is not going to be greener on the other side, that it's a pipe dream, that they can't possibly have that for XYZ reason. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing that in our lives about it? I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with many things about it. And so there's a part of me that says I'm very comfortable as I am. And that can be a good thing. But there are moments where in this year I've started to realize I've been hiding my light under a bushel. And so I'm coming out of that. So how can you possibly be hiding your light under a bushel? Or maybe it is that you do need to take yourself out of the limelight and just be for a while. Just float and be and enjoy a plateau for a while. And you need to ask yourself those questions on a soul level. And ask God what God's will is for you. Because when you're in your forcing of your will, you're going to hit your head up against the wall time and time again. But if you're in the flow of God's will, things have a way of working out. The synchronicities occur. And, Florence Shinn talks about living. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, here. You must form the habit of living in the fourth dimension, is what she says. You must form the habit of living in the fourth dimension, the world of the wondrous. I like all those W's. It's the world where you do not judge by appearances, that you start to see that everyone is there to help you learn your lessons, your blessings, and bringing that to pass in your life. So it's about acting as if you expected success and happiness and abundance, and that you prepare for your good. So law of preparation, you're preparing for your good. And I've used the word expectancy or expectancies a lot during the whole part of the law of preparation, because under the law of preparation there is also the law of expectancy. And see, faith is the substance of the thing hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And expectancy is the substance of the things hoped for. Expectancy is the substance of the thing man fears. So the thing I expected has come upon me. And so often we're given our intuitions about things. We're given an intuitive lead, a divine hunch, and we don't follow through with it. We say, I totally got that inkling, and I ignored that. I listened to the rational mind, or listened to someone else. And we have that recognition of kind of kicking ourselves. Why do we allow that to happen? And so it's about listening to that voice within. And probably in another show we'll talk about listening to the inner guide and what's really involved with doing that and how to follow through. I try to listen to that inner guide. It usually steers me correctly, and God does bring me things in my life, and I am so grateful. And I know that teaching at the college, when they said, hey, will you come and teach spiritual development classes for us, and they really felt strongly that they wanted me to do that. I asked my soul, and I followed through. And so the same thing with what I'm doing now in my life. Someone's asking about the book and the author again. The book that I love so dearly is by Florence Scovel Shinn. She has 3 names, but you could just look up Shinn. And Shinn is with 2 N's. You probably can't read it because it reverses, but it's Shin. Florence, like the city in Italy. And I start calling Florence by her first name because eventually you're just like so grateful, and I can feel her presence and her energy around me with love and sustaining me and affirming great things for the divine design of my life, because she is a person who understood what it meant to live in a space of divine right timing, divine right order, and claiming that which is yours by divine right. And I will post the book on the author later on too, so you can see the actual words of it. But it's a compilation of 4 books. There's The Game of Life and How to Play It, and there's also Your Word is Your Wand. And so I got the compilation of the 4 books, and I'm so glad that I did. And I just, whenever, the least little thing, I'll pick this up and read it. Or let's say we're on a road trip, I'll start reading this. The kids love to hear stories from it. So, they like spiritual word as well. And so the idea of how to bring things into a living word, into a living picture. So, I see that we may have a caller here, so we'll see what's going on. I know we just have a little time left. Time's going so fast. I say that every show, don't I? Oh, you've read her books. Oh, good. Some of you know who I'm talking about. So I think she's amazing, and if you really want to have a fantastic year, she's your lady. I mean, honestly, she's good. And I love that she uses examples from the Bible. Now, back then, people knew their Bible. I mean, they were much more well aware of the stories involved in the Bible and how it could relate to their life, because it's not just a bunch of old people. It's something that we can apply in our lives if we start looking at it that way. It's like when I read The History of Spiritualism by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. When I read the stories about the mediums that have gone before us, I started thinking, well, if they can do it, I can too. And so that's something that in the Bible, for example, Jesus was saying, everything I can do, you can do too. And so it's something that we can go into a space of grace. We can go into a space of divine knowledge. That there really doesn't have to be a middleman on this. That you are a spark of the divine. And so you have access to that God connection at a moment's notice whenever you need it. And so let's say you're going into a scary situation. Daniel was, in the Bible, put into a den of lions, and he moved into his God space. He went into meditation, contemplation, into complete God trust about things, and he wasn't eaten by the lions. And so we kind of get into that place of understanding that we have to walk up to our lion, that which we are afraid of, that which is holding us back. And so I hope that this year you think in terms of walking up to your lion, and whatever it is that you've been a little nervous about or maybe scared about or wanting to know how that works in your life. And sometimes walking up to your lion, the energy of it fizzles. As soon as you're able to do that, the tug of war is over. It's as if that person or that situation drops away. And so it's been magical. I've done that at different points in my life, and it has been amazing what's occurred for me. So I, of course, want that for you. I want whatever is in your highest and best good. And so when it comes to that law of expectancy, because I know time's going so fast, let's see. Oh, under my suggestions for receiving a reading, on my website, I have reading, frequently asked questions, and I have suggestions for receiving a reading. And one of the things that I write is, expect truth, have patience, be fair, expect good, and be willing to verify and relax. And that's one of the things I say under, the suggestions for having a reading, but it's something that can apply to every aspect of your life. Expect truth. Have patience. Be fair. Expect good. And be willing to verify and relax. So as it applies to your life, be willing to verify that God is working in your life the way other people are working for you. and helping you to come into a space of empowerment and a space of enlightenment and how that works. So it's important that you recognize you have that ability to get into those and to form the habit of living in that fourth dimension, in the world of the wondrous. And how to do that is to be in that space of awe, childlike wonder and awe of the world. Not childish, but that idea of let things be fresh with you. Let things be just the gratitude in the simple things. Like, I love the way snowflakes look. And I love hearing my children giggle. I love just the simple things of life. There are times I love washing dishes even. So, I mean, in the mundane, you can find the spiritual in those spaces as well. It doesn't always have to be, oh, and I went to Paris. You know, and sometimes the understanding is that your life is an amazing opportunity for joy at any particular moment, even if you're shoveling snow. And as I said before, we've got over 3 feet of it, so we're doing plenty of that. But to understand that you can be grateful. Like, I'm grateful for shelter and warmth and love and food. I love food. So you start to be in that space of allowing things to be enough and allowing things to be wondrous. Like, amazing that we have this ability to talk via Facebook and via this radio show, and that we can be that close to each other, that our souls are responding to each other, and that my soul energy and your soul energy are arcing together to make this moment happen, and that we find a bit of that magic in our everyday, and that when I look into your eyes, I see your soul. And when you look into my eyes, you see my soul. And that we greet each other in that way. And there's a divine space that I hope you bring that into your 2018 life. Oh my goodness, we just have a few minutes left. I guess I should ask if there's somebody, I see people on the line. I guess I should ask my producer if there's somebody. Let's see. I think I'm going to try to take 5252 in the few minutes we have left. And numbers ending in 5252. Here we go, guys. Hello! Hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, Willa. Hi, this is Katie.
Hi, Katie. Where are you calling from?
New York.
New York. Okay, wonderful. And how's your 2017 been? What have you been doing? Struggling.
I've been struggling. I've really been struggling. Yes.
Aww.
I don't want to struggle anymore.
That's right. So what do you think I don't know if you were listening earlier when I talked about kingpins, the idea of finding the log that's jamming you up. But have you identified what your kingpin is?
I think, I don't know. I think something with money, because I seem to never have enough money.
Aha. So let's...
Or more than enough.
More than enough. So you probably liked when I read about the purse of the spirit can never be depleted. As money goes out, immediately money comes in. It's always jammed, crammed with abundance under grace in perfect ways. You probably liked that one, didn't you? So... I do like that. I do like that. Yes. So, you can start affirming that. I know when I have used affirmations in my life, when I'm wanting to overcome negativity, and in your case, it's about money. So, craft something that is going to be powerful to you, that when you read that, you can read it aloud to yourself, and you feel in the depths of your being that God's bringing that. Oh my goodness, time's going so fast. So, my suggestion is that you find a way to connect with that spiritually, energetically, that you understand that God has amazing things planned for you, and that you're going to allow that to come in, and that you change, as Florence Shin suggests, you're going to change your words to, I never have enough money. You're going to say, I have enough and more, and you move yourself into that present tense. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sorry I'm going to have to let you go because we only have about 10 seconds left. But I appreciate you calling in, Katie. And I will affirm that 2018 is wonderful for you. Thanks. Oh my goodness. Well, time goes by so fast. So I want to tell people that next week I will be having Barbara Sanson on as my guest. And we're going to talk about spiritual healing. We're going to talk about what it's like to receive a spiritual healing, what it's like to give a spiritual healing. So call in or write in with your questions about spiritual healing, but tune in because it's going to be wonderful to have her as my guest next week. And certainly tune into the other radio shows that are here in Lilydale. Thank you so much for listening today, and hope that you can apply those ideas. Be well, and God bless everyone. I'm going to get off of this one here. There we go. All right, thanks for tuning in today on Facebook, everyone. And we'll find a way to post about that book. I love it. I hope it never goes out of print because I feel that everyone needs it and that we should be thankful for everything that we receive because through that gratitude, we attract more. So apply that law of preparation. Apply that law of expectancy in your life. Ask yourself, what are you expecting? Like you might catch yourself going, am I expecting something bad? Am I expecting something good? Oh, I have another thing I wanted to share with you guys that I just thought of, but that would take too long. Oh, no. So anyway, I'll have to try to share that with you another time. And something my mother taught me long ago about how to, what energy to send before you go into a situation and how that changes outcome as well, because you're changing the energetic condition. So hope you guys follow through with this. Let me know how 2018 goes for you, and affirm that it is going to be full of abundance, of love, of that which is of the true core nature of your spirit. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. Much love to all of you, and I wish you a beautiful and bounteous new year.